Hey, this is Michaël Brun, and you're listening to Stay Free on Reprezent Radio.
Stay Free on Reprezent Radio, and right now we're here with Michaël Brun at his album listening party here at YouTube Space in London. About to listen to his new album Lokal for the first time ahead of its release. Next Friday, right?
Wednesday, actually.
Next Wednesday. So if you're listening to this on radio, it won't be out yet, but if you're listening to this on our YouTube, watching the video back, then it'll already be out. You head to Spotify to go listen to that. But Michael, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. So honored to get to do this in London today.
Yeah, I mean, is this your first time?
I've been to London before, but never for like a music trip. So it's been studio sessions and press and get to launch the album. It's actually the first global event for the album. So
amazing,
really exciting.
So what does London mean to you? Does it have any special significance culturally or personally or musically?
I think musically it's just been like my entire musical experience. It's like the epicenter of so many different sounds, and not just electronic genres, but pop music and grime, and so much cool stuff has come out of here. So it's definitely at the forefront of music. Okay. And then I also have family and friends out here, so it's a really special place.
That's really cool. So you just mentioned you've been working with some people out here. What kind of artists have you been working with? What genre, if you can tell us anything?
It's been some really cool people. So like Miss Banks, for example, worked with her on some stuff, and it's Mr. Easy as well. It's just been a really awesome trip, and there's so many sounds in London, like across the board, that I feel work really well with what I'm doing, and vice versa. So I'm excited to see where those songs go.
Yeah, likewise. I think your career specifically has had a few different stages to it.
Yeah.
The first part of your career, you were kind of going under the EDM infrastructure, going and playing Ultra and Coachella and putting out kind of big room progressive house remixes and originals. And then the second stage of your career seemed to be this transition, touching back in with the roots of where you come from, Haiti, and getting more aligned with the music of your culture.
Yeah.
What stage do you think this new album, Lokal, will represent in the next part of your career?
So I'm happy you actually brought that up, because I feel like I've had two distinct parts of my musical life so far. As I was making progressive house and EDM, it was something that I loved electronic music, and I loved producing. And I think in those 5-6 years, getting to remix and collaborate with like Calvin Harris and Tiesto and Steve Angelo and all these different really incredible artists that were kind of like creating the progressive house sound. It was purely instinct. I didn't even know what it meant to be an artist yet. I was just doing what I loved, and along the way I had experience with gigs and with messaging in terms of like, what do I want to represent for myself and for Haiti. And more recently, in the last 3 years, getting to make music that incorporates Haitian sounds and Afrobeat and hip hop and Caribbean sounds as a whole, getting to take all these influences that I grew up listening to and putting them into my music, and then also in my shows. It's just felt a lot more deliberate. Like I really feel like I have a vision in terms of what I've wanted to accomplish in the last 3 years. And with the album now, it's like the first step towards global sound, and just like connecting all these different sounds and genres around the world.
I think a big part of that is the like hugely diverse list of people you've worked with over the years. People like Mr. Easy, J Balvin, even our friend Unique, who we had on the show last year. I wondered, what do you look for in a collaborator? What is the one consistent string that's linking all these very diverse people, all from very different continents and styles? What links everyone together and makes them someone worthy of a Michaël Brun collaboration?
It's vibe, honestly. It's just like when people have a good vibe, and also I think are really aware of who they are.
Okay.
It just makes collaboration so much easier and so much more fluid. And trying to create the best combined sound or combined genre, whatever that is. Like for example, Unique is representing Jersey, right? Like Mr. Easy is representing Nigeria and Africa. J Balvin's representing Colombia, and I think doing those kinds of artist collaborations with people who are very distinct with what they are, it just makes for exciting music and stories. Because we just, like all these people, I feel like aside from collaborators. Like I can call them my friends, and that's really important to
me. Yeah. And one collaboration that's just released very recently, I believe, first single off the new album with Mr. Easy, Guilty Beats, and I believe a bunch of Haitian artists. I don't want to miss anyone. So
it's DJ Bullet, DJ Bullet, J Perry, Dro, and it's called Aquaba Haiti.
So what do you find working with another producer like Guilty Beats? How does that process work? Because obviously when you're working with vocalists, you supply the beat, they provide vocal. But how was your process working with another producer? Was there anything you learned from working with him?
Yeah, I mean, Guilty Beats is, in my opinion, like one of the most talented producers right now. He's working on so much stuff that people don't even know about yet that I feel it's gonna really be exciting for him. And with Aquaba, it was a song that I was playing already in my sets. It's a remix, but like a reimagination of the song. So he had already produced the drums and the bass, and to incorporate traditional Haitian guitars, like compa guitars on that, and then bring in these Haitian features. It was just like, how do we take this very Ghanaian African sound and then bring that into Haiti? And by doing that, I think it helps make it even more global, because you're combining Caribbean and Africa, which like we're already connected culturally and historically, and just turning that into like a really big worldwide sound. So that's been my vision with the album as a whole, actually, is just trying to merge these like seemingly disconnected genres into something
which I think is important. And to touch on actually Haiti, where you're from, I think that has a kind of unique space in the Caribbean.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of, because a multitude of languages are spoken there, and also where it's placed geographically, it kind of connects to the Spanish side of the Caribbean, the English speaking, where dancehall and soca comes from, and also the Creole side. What is your kind of experience growing up in Haiti? Do you find that it's a very multicultural place in terms of a lot of different music, like reggaeton and soca, all kind of being a melting pot in that country?
I remember before I was even a DJ, and I went to like my first ever like house party. I was like 14 or 15 years old. And I was interested in DJing, and I thought like what the DJs were doing, like playing all these different types of music, it was really interesting. But to have like dancehall, reggaeton at that point was like Daddy Yankee reggaeton, like it was like that first wave of global reggaeton. To have like that mixed with like Jamaican music, and then traditional Haitian music, and then hip hop, and like at that point house hadn't even really become like global thing as yet, right? Like it was still, I think, in Europe and maybe in the US, but seeing that, just the palette of Haitian artists and Haitian people was super open to all these different sounds. And I think, like you said, it's the geographic location and also the history that Haiti's played in this entire region. We have so many close connections with Brazil and with Cuba and with the rest of Central America and South America and the rest of the Caribbean. So it's like 1 billion people. So it's 1 billion different like combinations of like cultures. And I think that's what I really hope people learn through this project and through any work that I'm doing or other Haitian artists do, is that Haiti was a bridge to this entire area and Africa and Europe, and it was the first point of contact when in the slave trade, when Europe brought slaves over to this side of the world. Haiti was the first point, Hispaniola, the island. And so I think historically that's super significant to the merging of all these different sounds.
Yeah, and I think the wave in the 2010s was definitely the rise of these kind of global sounds. Individually, like reggaeton and dancehall and soca all got bigger on their own. And I think now the wave going into 2020s is a combining of those genres. People like J Balvin, Major Lazer and yourself, they're all working really hard to take ballet funk and get some American like trap rappers on. Or take dancehall and get J Balvin on the dancehall song. Where do you see that going, and what do you think is going to come after that?
I just feel like it's been limitless, especially in the last few months. I've been working with so many different people across the board, like Indian artists. Like I was working with Badshah from India, and then like working with like Miss Banks and Easy and HL and Major Lazer and Arcade Fire, like all these different people that are completely different parts of the world, different genres, different sounds, but it makes sense. Like everything's connecting, everything feels it feels natural. It doesn't feel forced in any way. And I just see that as the beginning of so much more. Like people around the world have unique stories to tell, and having more opportunities for people to share their stories with each other and find similarities with each other, I think that's so exciting. And I actually don't think this has ever happened before. This might be the first time in history that we have this much interconnectivity around the world.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I mean, as like Wushi Far from Major Lazer says, making the world smaller by making the party bigger.
Yeah.
Talking about Major Lazer specifically, what's something you think you've learned from maybe Diplo or Wushi or Jillionaire? Spending time around them.
All of them, they're really, really cool guys. Walshy was actually in Haiti about 3 years ago for a project that we were doing called the Beat Making Lab. And just getting to chill with him, work with him, do shows together, make music together, see his process. He was really deliberate and really repped the Caribbean as a whole. And he was like one of the first people I heard talking about the link between Africa and the Caribbean. So that was like a really, really cool experience to just get to see what he was doing and just hear his stories. And also he was in Black Chinese before. That was so influential for Jamaican sound systems and was like a precursor to Major Lazer. And then from Diplo too, like Diplo is such a open-minded and respectful person when it comes to musical collaborations, and he like really takes the time to dig into the history and trying to rep as many artists around the world as he can. So it's been so cool. Like I brought out Major Lazer as a surprise guest in Miami for my bio shows, and just to have them, come through to that, like in Little Haiti and unannounced.
And I saw you got the feature.
So we worked together. That was so cool. It was natural. We've been working on stuff like back and forth over the last maybe 2 years, and he's been a big supporter of my music and just helping to make connections. Diplo actually connected me with Mr. Easy when he came to Haiti, so it was just really cool to have those guys repping me so hard, and now to see like how far things have built up. It's a blessing.
One last thing I definitely want to touch on before we finish the interview, because this is someone we've been supporting massively on the show, and he's like a huge force in Latin music. Pedro called up him a couple of weeks ago when he was here at a festival. It's J Balvin, who's someone who I guess in a way has given you a bit of a co-sign. He put out Positivo with you quite early on and then took you on tour. What was it like spending time around him? I think he's someone who is, like Wushi Fai, is very conscious with what he's doing culturally.
Absolutely,
And again, what were things you learned from him, and what was that whole experience?
I mean, I feel like I've spent the last maybe year and a half with him in various different projects, like whether it's on the tour and studio, and I worked together on his album, his upcoming one, and like going to Colombia with him in Medellin, and he's really opened his entire like network and family, and like treated me with the most respect and support. So I think like I really consider him a brother and a huge mentor, and he's really put on for Latin America in a massive way that I think is, again, like never happened to this scale before. Like he doesn't operate in millions, he's like in the billions, like in everything he does. It's like, it's gotta be the most like highest level, and like even his tour, like when going on the tour, there's like dinosaurs everywhere and like 100 people on staff, and to have that many people and like know everybody by name and like making sure everyone's like well respected, and he really is an amazing artist and an amazing person, more importantly. So I've learned so much about what I want to do with my career and with my life, and I think that I've learned quite a bit and putting a lot of that into action right now. So it's seeing things coming together. It makes sense. Like when you have such great mentors, it's like if you listen, you'll learn a lot.
I get that. So not long now till you premiere the album here of YouTube Space. What can you tell people about the album? What's it going to sound like? You've got a lot of features, a lot of Haitian artists, a lot of African artists, a lot of people from all around the world. What are some kind of highlights of the album and like tracks you're particularly proud of, and what can we expect in general? I think for this album, I really wanted it to be, I mean, even when you look at the artwork, it's a mosaic of Haitian sounds. It's not just a single genre. It's not just a single type of artist. It's really trying to be as inclusive and eclectic as possible, because I feel like that's what I listened to when I grew up, and especially now as I'm listening, like I listen to as much Latin music as I do African music, as I do Caribbean music, as I do Asian music and European sounds, and like all these different languages. And I think that was so important that it felt diverse, but that also felt uniquely Haitian, because nobody knows what Haitian music really is. Whenever I ask people if they have any idea, they maybe know Wyclef and the Fugees, but aside from that, it's I feel like it's so untapped,
and people do know what Jamaica like has brought to the world. They know reggae, they know dancehall. People know what Latin music is, reggaeton, bachata, and so many other genres. But I think there's just been this gap in this space, and I really wanted to put on for my country, for my culture. And I'm half Guyanese, so I'm Haitian and Guyanese, so to get to like that merge, right, of two completely different cultures, but that still feels very similar. I think you hear that in the project. You hear it where like the rhythms are global rhythms, but they have the Haitian sounds on them. And some of the stuff is in Creole, some is in English, some is in French. But it still feels consistent, and it feels like a cohesive project. So to me, this is like my ideal way of experiencing Haiti musically. I hope that when you listen to it, you learn something, and you find out new artists that you probably never would have heard of otherwise.
Amazing. Well, I mean, you're definitely putting on for Haiti, and I think it's only going to grow. So, make sure you go check out the album Lokal on June 26th when it drops. And, thanks, man.
Thank you so much.
Let's listen to it now.